In 1817, French writer Stendhal, whose real name was Marie-Henri Bell, he visited Florence, and then he encountered there something very bizarre, and he wrote about it. So he said that my heart raced, I felt dizzy, as if I had entered some sublime and terrifying dream. And he wasn't simply poetizing here, but he actually wrote about his real physical and emotional reaction that he had when he was exposed to art. This condition, where intense aesthetics, they trigger strong physical symptoms, is now known as Stendhal Syndrome. And in a Korean drama, Her Private Life, Ryan Gold is experiencing this condition. It is a compelling portrayal of this phenomenon. So let's clinically, historically, and psychologically break it down why this Korean drama got it right. Stendhal syndrome wasn't actually officially named until 1979 when Italian psychiatrist Dr. Graziella Magherini, she was working in Florence in a Santa Maria Nova hospital, and she observed certain pattern. Over a decade, she documented 106 cases of tourists experiencing acute psychological and also physical distress after prolonged exposure to the city's intense Renaissance art. These reactions included rapid heartbeat, dizziness, sweating, fainting, disorientation, and even in some cases, temporary psychotic features like hallucinations and paranoia. And although Stendhal syndrome is not formally recognized in the major diagnostic manuals like DSM-5, it is still well documented in medical literature as a real psychogenic reaction or psychosomatic condition. And even this recent review articles talks about its clinical and historical overview, highlighting the consensus that it is a genuine condition. The core definition involves an acute onset of physical and also emotional symptoms triggered by an overwhelming encounter with art of great beauty or personal significance. And this brings us to why some people might be more vulnerable to develop Stendhal syndrome. Scientific observations of those who've experienced Stendhal syndrome, they highlight a few characteristics, and these are physical reactions like racing heart, sweating, and fainting. This involves confusion, sense of something being unreal, or even déjà vu. And then the emotional flooding comes with overwhelming surge of emotions. So for instance, profound anxiety, guilt, and even grief. So here when we're looking at Ryan's face, we can see that perhaps he's flooded with certain memories, and maybe those memories, they bring some sadness and also certain realizations. So now let's have a look at risk factors identified in those who experience Stendhal syndrome. Research suggests that those who experience this syndrome, very often they experience personal or emotional connection with the art. The art isn't just beautiful, but it also resonates with personal history and maybe some unresolved issues. And that's why we can see Ryan looking intensely at the painting, conveying a deep, almost painful connection. This can include repressed emotions, pre-existing anxiety, or even unresolved trauma. And that's why perhaps, here we can see Ryan in a moment of quiet contemplation where maybe he's thinking about something significant from his past. People who are deeply appreciative of and who are more sensitive to art are more prone to develop Stendhal syndrome. So here we can see Ryan carefully examining art and being deeply appreciative of it. So now let's have a look how an acute episode of the syndrome can be managed. The literature suggests that, first of all, the person needs to be removed from the environment where they are being exposed to the art. Secondly, is about allowing the person to reset themselves in more neutral environment, and here the grounding techniques, they could be very useful. In situations where this acute reaction is linked to some unresolved emotions or some trauma from the past, it is recommended that the person starts therapy so they can start exploring all these underlying emotions to prevent future episodes of the syndrome. So here we can see Ryan talking to his therapist, but for some people, having supportive and understanding friends or family might already be a good option. The prognosis of Stendhal syndrome are generally good. However, in situations when the art acts only as a trigger for some unresolved trauma, unresolved emotions from the past, then the art itself isn't the issue, but the unresolved emotions are. The Stendhal syndrome and the story of Ryan from her private life underlines and reminds us that art and beauty can trigger in us overwhelming emotion and also physical symptoms. This drama and also this syndrome reminds us what can happen to our body when we are too fast exposed with too much information, especially when this is linked to some unresolved emotions from the past. I would like to hear from you if maybe you've ever experienced Stendhal syndrome, and if not, if maybe you just simply became overwhelmed or flooded with emotions when you were exposed to some sort of form of art. I would love to hear about your experiences in the comment section. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, then please like it, subscribe, and I'm gonna see you in the next one then. Thank you. Bye bye.